Good morning, Malcolm Beans here. As we get ready to rip into a weekend, I just wanted to say what up. No, this is all sentimental. Let me break it down. No, I uh, I was listening to Social Distortion. That song always, life goes by so fast. Story of my life, and and I'm always talking. When I'm on like episode 50, 52, 3, 4, something like that, and it just feels, I don't know, just being dedicated is kind of cool because it's 4:30 in the morning right now. Why am I up? Not sure. My mom's visiting. So pumped. My mom has been such a rock in my life. I mean, she's this big heart, and we all have that extension of our family, that DNA and stuff. So humbled to have my mom here. Rolled out of bed. The hardest part about rolling out of bed was my daughter was sleeping in the middle, wife on the outside, dog in between wife's legs. It's one big family, and I just look over and I smile, and I just see my kid, my wife, amazing wife, and I'm just like so grateful. Story of my life, man. Life goes by so fast, and high school seems like such a blur. Social Distortion. I mean, that song was huge. It makes me think of just always in my prayers, friendships that I had that, um, you know, sadly aren't here. They're always forever with us, but and much love to, of course, close friends and families and everyone to them. But Dave Mira, man, the fact that I got to become close friends with an icon and just watch that, he used to come out to the X Games in just Dave fashion, which was so steezy, and he loved Social D and a lot of the action sports. I mean, Social Distortion was huge. The Boom Boom Huck Jam with Tony Hawk and stuff like that. I mean, I believe they played and whatnot. And anyways, much respect to Social D, but Dave Mira, and it made me think just, of course, the inspiration continuously from him, from Ken Block, and from Pat Casey. There's three, just that are in my heart right now. And of course, prayers for Alistair Dickert, who's got struck by lightning at a race this, past, week or so ago. And anyways, I'm just sitting there, but perspective, like when I'm talking, it's like everyone's like, oh, okay, why are we even listening to this guy? That's, once again, choice. If you feel like I'm dropping some knowledge, some good vibes or whatever, but it's like perspective. Where was my perspective gained? And I was just gonna rip through like a quick little, I don't know how I'm gonna do with this because there's a whole bunch packaged, and I probably at some point I need to go on a podcast, and it'd be fun to kind of just rip through, in a more full way, everything in my life. But going back, I just figured like sharing all these things to lead to today, because it's the past, the present, and then the future is how you position these things and these choices. And to get ready to rip into a Friday, I'll just share a little bit of inspiration, which is where I mix my past. So wherever I kind of go, my brain kind of, it's kind of like a F1 car. It's like, sometimes it's like I'm trying to catch up with it, or it's trying to catch up because I'm talking so fast that my brain's like, what are you saying? So, San Diego, California. Born in San Clemente, grew up in Southern California, surrounded by motorsports and whatnot. My dad was in motorsports, and growing up in Alevinheim, which is a little inland from Encinitas, about, close, 35, 40 minutes from downtown San Diego. But parents separated when I was 2. Why I kind of start with that is because it just plays kind of a big role. But we had a family setting. My grandma and my grandpa, would host all the Thanksgiving and stuff. So family was always a huge part. My aunt lived, about a mile down the road. My uncle, another mile down the road. And this was just Liebenheim, and so parents separated when I was 2, and we had a house. It was a decent house. It was actually an amazing house. I had trees I could climb in the backyard. I could explore. There was this reserved area that like you couldn't build on, so it had hills. We had rope swings. I'd take my mongoose scooter and go back and jump back there. And but yeah, from age 2, the reason why I kind of start there is just parents separated, and it just opened up an interesting environment. But the one thing that was rad is that I remember the most, like I would go to school like 2-3 miles up the road at a young age. I was a you know I was a little chubbier kid, and just kind of goofy looking little kid, and kind of had, we're all unique, and I didn't really think much differently, but I had the freckles. I had, just my haircut was average at best. Didn't have a cool swag. I tried to, and it kind of maybe grew a little bit over the years, but I had neighbors and friends and certain people in the area. Trevor Barber, what's up, buddy? My neighbor, I mean, the dude was like the surfer. I mean, like ripped at skating. Would pull out the ghetto blasters, cardboard, and like kind of showed me about breakdancing and good looking dude, stylish, long hair. Sister was super cool, Tina, and he kind of, I mean, that was my first like, whoa, dude, my neighbor's like super cool, right? And I was like, I was like, dude, nothing even connected for me till probably closer to junior high, later, 8th, 9th, 10th, 10th grade. But man, I pulled on it and I kind of, it inspired me to open up. He had an 8-foot half pipe. You know what that was like to have your neighbor have an 8-foot half pipe? I got to skate it a bit, but him and all his friends were, X amount of years older, and they would just go out, style, music just blasting, like just, um, old school just rock and stuff like that. And just like, I guess at one point, like Beastie Boys and things like that. But, um, Megadeth and things, So, anyways, I would hear and I would see all these different things. I did have a skateboard at a young age. I had a bicycle at a young age, I believe. He had the mongoose. I didn't have the mongoose because I was jealous. I had the mongoose scooter, but not the bicycle. Why are these things even relevant? Because story of my life is leading to things I remember. And if you look back and you think about these little like moments in life, these moments start to add up, and you wonder why you had these dreams. You wonder how you got into these fields, or these certain paths of action sports or music or culture. And so a lot of that really inspired me a ton. Laban Fadias, me and him started emailing and texting. That guy was became a pro skateboarder, and now he's just an insane, producer, media house, and just such a crazy creative human being. Could juggle like 15 balls, 8 to 10 pins. I mean, anyways, taught me all about, dude, you got to be able to focus, skateboarding, this and that. And there's a mix of kings, a mix of friends that obviously we ended up kind of getting into juggling and weird stuff. But look at all these things that are leading to just a little piece. So surf, skate, snow, moto, action sports. I used to ride my bike at age, it was a 50, and I'm sorry, it was a 60. It was a Honda CR60. And I would ride that thing about 1.5 to 2 miles on the roads. You try to take the back roads because you didn't want to see the cop. And when you saw a cop, respect the SIG and all the bike life guys that have the crew and the strategy. Dude, when you're solo, it's a lot harder to ditch a cop. So, and especially when you're like 7, 8 years old, 6, 7, 8, whatever. So anyway, started going to court at a young age. Didn't understand it was like bike life, but I'd be wheeling down through the streets because I love being on a dirt bike. My thirst for motorsports. So Southern California, San Diego, Encinitas, Olevenheim, surf skate. My buddy Corey Murata also had an 8-foot half pipe. I only got to skate it X amount of times, but I had rail slides and launch ramps. Action sports was not a thing, but it was like this connection, this individuality, and something rad that really helped bring me up. So ended up Jimmy Malgett and Phil Malgett and their family kind of took me in, for a while in an interesting phase. Of just a lot of stuff going on. And I'm jumping through things that I'm just like clicking with right now. And that got me into BMX racing. Jimmy was so good at BMX racing. Phil was great too. Phil ripped at surfing, started his own surfboard. These are all things that crafted like creativity, being around people that were like pushing the limits in certain areas. We do sprints getting ready to race every Wednesday and Sunday at Kearney Moto Park, where I got to meet Jerry Batters, who's obviously a still close friend, and just obviously he was so fast. His mom worked at Kearney. BMX, surf, skate, snow, action sports. My brother Jeremy was, into surfing, all stuff. So then, really got me more into surfing, aside from my neighbor and stuff like that. But action sports is really like, it's so interesting, like the roots. And this is before there was like, it was a thing, or you really went down there. There wasn't any money really for the most part, unless you were like Bones Brigade, Search for Animal Chin, Caballero, Hosoi, Hawk, Lance Mountain, Mark Gonzalez. I mean, just there was this crazy era of just, old school skating that just literally sits hard. Because I had this custom board in the back that was just my boy Steven made for me. So where I'm going is like story of my life, giving respect to people that, man, it's always sad. It's always, you don't understand that why, that they're not even here with us, but the inspiration, the love, like the Dave Mira, Pat Casey, Ken Block is three I'm just naming. I have a lot, unfortunately, that have passed, but all these things kind of pave who you are that lead to what I'm saying today is about my perspective. It's only my perspective gained from my trenches, career wise, working at a young age in auto repair places like, Johnny Conrad, I love you, much respect, but his dad had an auto repair place and I was so grateful for the opportunity, got paid under the table. And I had to clean it up though, but it was, his dad busted his butt and obviously it was a humble experience, but man, taught me about just getting just that grease under your nails and going after it, making no excuses. That's how I got my first truck for $3,000, Nissan Extra Cab. Um, but I moved after Jimmy Malgate and all that stuff, and Liebenhain, kind of La Costa, that whole area, and growing up around there, riding in the hills, man, riding in the hills, freedom, free riding is like skateboarding, man. There's nothing that's stopping you and your wheels, minus cops, on the no skateboarding signs. But we'd go ride in the hills and we get chased by cops, and we had like underground bushes that we kind of dug out, like big kind of foresty type bushes where the helicopters would come after us, and we just sit there and we had boxes of snacks and we'd have to wait for hours at a time because the motorcycle cops and everyone would be after us, and you're just sitting there. Sometimes in the summertime it's 103, you're in your gear and you're just praying these guys don't go on a mission down and find you. And so all this stuff is like, man, the kid in us, the dreams, the love, the passion, I'm just given like a roster of things that, like, now sitting here, I'm just at 4:30 in the morning going, oh my gosh, I can't forget those things, but I'm so grateful for the present and how those things position me with this mindset. I ended up moving to San Marcos, respect, what up, San Marcos High School. That brought me into a whole new crew of guys. Johnny Conrad, Steve Dang, um, the Stagg family, Jake Stagg and his brothers, and Mark Ferris, Dennis Jones, Travis Luthers. Gosh, the names go on. But dude, coming to San Marcos High School at like ninth grade, middle of ninth grade or something like that, that was a whole. I had people. I didn't have to switch or change schools, but I met this pack of guys, and they kind of took me under their wing, and these guys were just dope. They had a sick little vibe. They had a kind of little clique we had fun with called Vojale, Vojale, and but man, it was just fun having a crew and a clique. These guys were like dope skateboarders. We had the local skate shop, Rancho Board Ride, respect Tony. All these things were so like incremental, but it was like, it was a Hispanic, had a lot of Hispanics, so just got so many good friends across the board. And Greg Greasaber, what up? Got to throw you in there. There's a mix of guys I'm gonna leave out, so I apologize. But man, the experience of going there and then suddenly snowboard trips and just a whole different vibe from a Liebenhain in the comfort zone. So when I'm leaving, getting out of your comfort zone. So from the home to parents separating to all these sports and action sports, Trevor Barber, Neighbors, Levin Fadias, creativity, getting out and just pushing the limits, man. All these things helped sharpen my sword in a way I didn't even know. I was thinking this morning, like, what was my dream? Like, how big did I dream? I didn't dream to be a pro motocross rider. I didn't dream to be on TV. I didn't dream I'm going to launch a brand, an underwear brand, and create an accessory in a category in $1 billion space and have millions of people around the world in a company I created. Dude, I was just this kid, but I was just going, and I talk about momentum and flow and all these different things. Story of my life is like, man, that sharpening that sword for us personally comes in so many different ways. So I was racing motorcycles, by the way. So Carlsbad Raceway, man, we'd wait for Commotion by the Ocean. They had like a Toys for Tots where you come race, you bring toys as part of the registration to give back to kids during Christmas time. I got to do team races with McGrath, Pastrana. It's an 8-mile lap, during that one big kind of Grand Prix. And then I got to see Rick Johnson and just so many legends come out for Commotion by the Ocean, which was all beefed up. They made the jumps, they had the horseshoe, and just like Respect to my Uncle Marty Moats, who passed away many years ago, but 1980 USGP champion on NBC Live. Look at all these little things. I'm just going off the top. There's like a freestyle rap on things that are leading to today that had me listen to Social Distortion, Story of My Life, and just go, man, life goes by so fast. And look at all these little things that are giving me this energy still today. Like a kid, I always think astronauts and rock stars. When you're a kid, you just dream so big, and then when does that dream leave? But look at all these little things that literally are building up and just kind of honing in on who you are and where you're going and all that fun stuff. So San Marcos High School was crazy. I used to get jumped on the way home. I don't even understand it still this day, but a couple dudes would just roll me on the way home, and finally at one point they stopped. But man, getting beat up for no reason, because I was not a bully. I didn't punk people. I didn't jump in. I was just, I was just trying to be me, right? Which normally everyone was like, okay, yeah, okay, you're kind of there, but you're not. I was part of the cruise, but anyways, I had a lot of friends and still people I talk to today. So now so at this point, I've worked at Cassidy's. I've done dishes. I've done Cassidy's, like a Whole Foods health food store. I worked in Johnny Conrad's dad's automobile repair place, just to get my first car, to pave, to work. So I learned work ethics. I learned responsibility in certain ways I didn't even understand. I thought I was just getting a paycheck, but really I was understanding how can I stay in a job? How can I keep a job? How do we over deliver? And I always say in life, man, over delivering. And I look back at everything I've done, which will lead into No Fear and The Warehouse and Zing, Bobby Zing, what's up? Mitchell Bailey, being, a mix of stuff, but it was like I always over delivered, right? Because I didn't want to let anyone down. Where did I get that from? I'm not really sure, because I don't really know like where like the big work ethics were and where things came from. But health food store, doing produce, and then racing pretty much all the way into my through high school. Always broke multiple arms, legs, this and that. Breaking arms and legs teaches you God's gift, and just like, man, He built us resilient. He built us so strong. You're so depressed when you're on Vicodin or Darvocet and these things, and you're going through stuff in the summer. I had to go to summer school a bunch because I missed so much school. I don't know how I graduated, both in junior high and high school. And then, so that's kind of like leading up everything. And then it goes into my work career, which was like, how did all these things happen? And I was telling someone the other day, it's so crazy. My 20s were kind of mental, because all this work, doing all these little projects, working in the warehouse at No Fear, that didn't get me anywhere. Like there wasn't like, oh, here's a clear path at No Fear. And I'm talking to anyone who's going through a job and going, I can't see it. You don't know who's going to come in. That company had, 500 to 1,000 employees, and who are these 500 to 1,000 employees? Which one's going to maybe connect with me and maybe going to go, you know what, kid, let me give you an opportunity. I grinded for years, working, helping out with international, this and that, and I got to meet so many people that ended up opening my career. So I'm racing motocross, friends with AP Designs, props to Alex Paul, one of the dopest helmet painters and longtime friends, Mitchell Bailey I mentioned earlier. And all these people are this lineup and all these things that start to manifest. And it wasn't about a career, it wasn't about money, it was about passion. I had a thirst for motorsports, I had a thirst for action sports. Growing up also, I forgot going to Soma. Does anyone listen? I mean, I know people, punk music. Punk music was that escape, like skateboarding. I mean, even motocross was rebellious. It was just really small sport. BMX too, it was about just getting out in that freedom, ripped jeans, backwards freaking trucker hats. I think I liked the trucker hats because growing up, I didn't really wear many hats. I wore a lot of hats in the sense of, life and things I was doing, but I only, like when I had a trucker, and not to mention my Uncle Rigby, respect, biker, 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", tall, skinny, scary, just looking dude. But Rigby was a truck driver at one point. He took me out on one of his delivery routes one night, which was like an all-night thing. I was freaked out and scared, and I respect truck drivers so much. But dude, I thought I was gonna get jumped, shot, or something, because there's things at these truck stops, at least back then, and I'm in the back of this deal, and he would take off for like an hour at a time, and I'm like 8, 9, 10 years old, and maybe he just wanted company. Either way, what the heck am I bringing that up for? holy crazy little things that lead to, story of my life. Life goes by so fast, man. That perspective and that love and that passion and all these different things. So No Fear Warehouse. I can't even piece together everything but my 20s. Suddenly I go from the No Fear Warehouse, all these, I get an opportunity to work with Ross Neglia and Nikki McCrory, at the time Nikki Tyson. She ran the production at Nixon Watches. Props to Chad Denena, who created Nixon Watches. And so I got to work for Nikki back then at No Fear, and she taught me all about, and Ross, all about fashion design, cut and sew, taking me like to all the fashion trade shows and this and that. I had to work in sweatshops. It was nothing glamorous, but that's what got me into marketing. What? You're telling me clothing got you into marketing? Yeah. It's the things you don't know when you go down that pathway. And it was such a good lesson of understanding trend forecasting, fabrics, materials. To this day, I'm like such a big, nerd, and that's what got me to develop, obviously, an underwear category and something that I could have all my friends part of. Obviously I'm kind of fast forwarding a little bit. I'm just going to try and wrap this up as fast as I can in the next minute, because this is way too long. But hopefully it brings value in the sense of like, wow, like how did this guy's pathway look? He was all over the place. No one understood me. I didn't understand me. I didn't have a clear vision. I wasn't going to be a pro motocross rider. I love motocross, but I never thought that I'm like, no way. I can't believe I had as much of a career in motocross. So No Fear, this and that, the design, the fashion side, and then, warehouse, working for international, understanding international time change, all the different, compliances for international, and then still racing, working for Zing, helping out doing design. I did a loan from my bank, an $8,000 loan to buy an Apple computer, and I started designing. Was I good? I had moments, but no, it wasn't like some of my favorite designer guys out there, like Jerome Maj and Mitchell Bailey's and just a mix of guys. I have a mix, a bunch now. So, but I love design. I love creating. I love crafting. So that just applied to everything. So I ended up in my 2000s. This is all at one point. So I'll break it down later, but I'm just gonna have to rip through it. So at one point, I'm pretty much the marketing guy at No Fear. I'm the team manager, helping out sign Pastrana and do certain things for Spy, because No Fear owns Spy. Fernando and Santiago, Alistair Kraft, and Aaron Astorga, and so many rad humans. JD Hendley, who was still one of my close friends. Actually, I love all those guys still. But they brought me into Reef, and Fernando and Santiago. Reef Brazil was like $100 million shoe and sandal company, famous for the butt ads. Dude, I'm a young kid, not necessarily like the guy going, oh, whoa, getting all the opportunities, but those butt ads, man, those things went viral. Talk about viral before there was viral. That was the butt ads. Not even showing the girls' faces, because it showed like the mystique of the journey and this and that with the waves, and it's like this lifestyle you wanted to live. So I've got, this is crazy. It's like barely early 20s, right? And this was from nothing to warehouse to certain things, but it just I'm just kind of saying, like, keep pushing your dreams, keep going after it. And just sometimes you can't try to understand and explain everything or know everything. I know everything. I listen to Fox News. Cool, I'm just gonna at least pick the right channels. I didn't really watch TV, right? Cartoons growing up, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers. I don't know. There's a few other ones, but playing Mike Tyson's Punch Out, Duck Hunt. I'm going way back. Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. When I was dead broke, man, I couldn't picture this. And so this is like so literally I'm racing motocross still. I got to a point where I was pretty good on a dirt bike. Was I Pastrana, McGrath, Hart, Metzger? No, but I was pretty good on a dirt bike. I could hit big jumps. I could do a mix of stuff. And so this whole combo in my early 20s, suddenly I'm in Zing ads, because Mitchell Bailey, and the Zing boys put me in there, and it was me. I had my own graphics kit, and so did Seth Enslow. He was the dark side. I was the light side, kind of like Pastrana and Deegan. I've got I met the Mini Warriors guys, so there's Mini Warriors 1 at the time, so I'm learning all about it, and then I kind of helped out with sponsorship, then became the personality, Mini Warriors 2, 3, 4, whatever, built Gramageddon, this and that, but in my 20s, and then did Pastrana, lined up everything to do Pastrana's Revelation 199, co-produced it, I believe Joe Nell edited that one, and just got to work with a group of guys there, so and then broke my back in like 2002, with Pastrana and my whole team. I was doing the No Fear ride day, and ended up getting a call from Road Champs Jack Pacific, Rich Swisher, Gary Swisher, Stacy. Thanks for everyone. I mean, that ended up being toys, and I was just humble and I was kind of having fun with it. Blue haired toy, somewhere up there, maybe not. And yeah, anyways, ended up. So I've got Mini Warriors, so I'm hosting and I'm part of this video crew. I've got No Fear, Spy, Reef Brazil, and then Gabrielle Alpine Star says, hey, I see you going around, traveling around with all the top athletes, surf skate, snow, moto, and this and that. He's like, can I contract you as well to be part of the Alpine Star family? I'm like, are you kidding? 100%. So I've got No Fear, Spy, Reef, full-time Alpine Star, full-time No Fear at this time. I've got Mini Warriors, which is helping to blow up No Fear. I signed Pastrana, so I'm traveling with Pastrana. I've got McGrath, who's obviously the Supercross legend. And then I have toys now in Walmart, Target, Long's, all these different random stores. And I'm getting articles and I'm doing things. I'm getting attacked by the media. I've been on dating shows. I did all kinds of stuff. It was this crazy momentum ball. And also back in 2001 said, I got inspired by Ross and Nikki. He said, create an accessory. No, he said, the guy that made the paperclip is laughing all the way to the bank. He made one thing and made it the best. And I'm like, dang, story of my life. Look at all these things adding up. And literally, so I went, I was real picky about names. It was gonna be Form, all these different things. Ended up coming up with the name Ithaca, which came from Ithaca, New York, which also came from like a little bit later, whatever, which was like Road Trip, which was a funny comedy movie that they all went on a road trip to Ithaca, New York. Jim Gennard, the founder of Oakley, and everyone would be like, man, like it has to flow, like Etnies, Arnett, Oakley, No Fear. Like you have to be able to say it and have it be part of like a conversation. So, so trademarked everything, 2001. So No Fear, Spy, Reef, Alpine Stars, Road Champs, Jazz Pacific Toys, Mini Warriors, Revelation 199, John Dowd movie we did, and then led into the Grommageddon, this and that. At one point, I ended up leaving to go, Alpine Stars to be my full-time deal. All these things. This one's going long, but it's like, and I want to kind of break down more how they all happen. But it's just like so crazy as I sit here on this morning, talking to you guys on my 50-something episode, going, wait, what does this even mean? I'm just throwing gems out there, but in life, in business, and career, I always say the Bible's my foundation because I fell off a bunch, man. There's a lot of struggles. It sounds like, oh, you had only W's. I'm all, dude, I had like 90% L's in between, but my positive mindset and always just like being genuine to who I was the time I had the most success. And sometimes we get derailed from who we are. And but in my 20s, all this stuff's going on. No ego, no change. I'm going to every Supercross, every Outdoor National, every Gravity Games, X Games, do tours with the best athletes who became the best friends, who still are the closest best friends. And that's what made action sports. It started out as a kid on a mission trying to find himself that then brings things together. But if you don't go on the mission and you don't really kind of, throw yourself into it, and yeah, that's kind of like, story of my life, story of your life, our lives, man. It's a culmination, it's a collection of so many moments that create this momentum. And as I sit here on the floor, this one might not even go up because it's way too long. Because I was just thinking like, man, I want people to understand just that it's okay to not know. It's okay to not have the full pathway. Some people do, and good for you. And you might change it. You might go get go to college and to become a lawyer and then becoming something else. But it's just about becoming you and becoming. The art of becoming is the moments and all the little things that you stack up and add together. And a lot of what I just went off on was like, man, look at just that quick rant off the top, like a freestyle of like things that literally I look back on still to this day. I can remember my neighbor Trevor Barber's number. They took me deep sea fishing and taught me so much stuff. And it's like, I'm always grateful. And I remember I still know his number right now. Like, it's weird. Like you remember so many numbers. Now we're all kind of, I don't have to think about too many. I got my wife's and all the key ones, but man, life is this interesting interesting journey. Martin Lawrence in a comedy called Run Tell That, which is really funny. Comedy when they could actually be comics. No, I know they are again. Some people push it. Respect to Chappelle and a lot of guys are just this full send, even though all the critics are gonna come. But he said, man, he's like he went through highs and lows and drugs and being found almost dead and this and that. And Martin Lawrence, bad boys, what you gonna do was always one of my favorite comedians. Just a funny dude, Martin. And he said, man, one thing I realized is you just gotta ride this, and he uses the word mofo. You gotta ride this mofo till the wheels fall off. And that's why I gave respect. And that's why, not a why, where the world is going, man, forever in our hearts. Dave Mira, Pat Casey, and Ken Block. Those guys live their fullest life. People like that I became friends with because a little kid, you think, oh, separated family, this and that, maybe drugs and all kinds of interesting things that happen around the house. They were all things that literally crafted this kid that has a genuine desire to help people, that then opened up building global brands. You know how many people are in an underwear and wearing underwear now, proudly wearing underwear, stocking stuffers, because I had this dream that I was gonna make underwear cool. And then it did become that. And now I'm doing it again because I realize, being a dad, that I want my kid to understand what it's like to become mended. And it's like, well, what do you mean a brand? No, to become mended. They're not taught to see what dad's doing. The past, I'm so grateful for. I want to see all these brands, everyone succeed, hopefully do the right thing, be good people. There's a lot of people that, just haven't grown yet or gone through things, so they just want to cut you at the Achilles tendon, And I think, man, stop cutting, start strutting, figuring out who you are, man. This whole journey, and I'll go deeper on a pod somewhere at some point soon with someone on just really like all these pathways and how the one kind of manifested and led to the other. But if I look back, it was just this deeper belief. I've always had faith, but I haven't had as close a relationship as I do the past 10, 12 years with God. And it took even pastors and different people, and moving to Texas 2 years ago. Come on, guys, when you're a SoCal kid and you move to Texas, I love Texas. I've always loved Texas. But now I live in Texas, and now I see why it's a beautiful thing to be born and raised in Texas. I'm grateful for my Cali roots. I always will be. I love Cali. But man, the Southern hospitality, the rodeos, the mutton busting, and all the good stuff. So this was a big weekend one, because if you chop this thing up and you listen to it, it's going to be thinking back and being grateful for all the highs and lows and how much you've gained perspective-wise on knowledge to sharpen your sword, to like breathe, reminder to breathe, to come, man, I just really want to encourage everyone, man, you got this. You can DM me, you can, dude, I mean, most people know me. I give up my number to certain people just because my heart, because I want to see people win. What do I want from it? Not a damn thing. So crush the weekend, have fun. Prayers and love to everyone that is forever with us, but not on earth right now, on up in heaven on this next journey. Prayers for everyone that, like Alistair, that is, my gosh, got struck by lightning, and it's just crazy. You don't you hear things like this, but then until it's your friend or someone, or someone in an industry or someone close, man, it impacts so many. So prayers for Alistair, his dad Wayne, and everybody, and just all the families, everybody, man, keep pushing, becoming mended, on the mend, stay on the mend. Don't let anyone distract your dream, your vision, astronauts and rock stars. Dream big, shoot for the stars. I love you guys. This one was way too long, and everyone's like, wow, but you cut out a bunch of stuff. I did, and for that, I apologize. But this is Malcolm Beans. It is almost 5 now in the morning, so Glaze Nation sometimes, guys. I love you. Malcolm Beans. We